would never advise you guys to spend your entire stimulus check when building a brand new gaming/streaming PC. That would just be irresponsible. I'd advise you to spend half. Let's get into it. Welcome back to Tech 215. I'm your host Nick, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you guys how to build the ultimate gaming/streaming/video editing PC for just north of 600 bucks. This is going to be the ultimate guide to building that entry-level budget gaming/streaming/video editing PC so that you have the most powerful system for the money. We're going to be benchmarking a ton of synthetic benchmarks like Unigine Heaven and Cinebench to see how this thing performs, and we're also going to be benchmarking a boatload of games like Apex Legends and Fortnite, but also some newer games here on the channel like Kingdom Come Deliverance and Wolfenstein Youngblood. After we're done benchmarking, we're gonna hop on Twitch and play some Dead by Daylight to see how this thing performs in the real world when you actually wanna stream your games for the world to see. For all you content creators out there who might be interested in starting your own YouTube channel or just want to get into video editing, I'm going to show you guys why this is such a better buy than spending over $1,000 when buying a Mac. Guys, before we get into the video today, let me give a quick shout out to today's video sponsor, Redux Tech. Redux Tech specializes in the cleaning and removal of sensitive electronics for your home and small business. They also perform restoration work after smoke, fire, water, surge, or chemical exposures. They also do computer recycling and practice responsible data destruction to keep your company's private and sensitive information safe. For more information on Redux Tech, head over to eteamrestore.com and ask for my buddy Bo Eric and just let him know Tech 215 sent you. Back to the video. Hey guys, so with all that out of the way, let's take a closer look at the parts going in today's build. Okay, so at the heart and soul of our build today is the Ryzen 5 1600AF. Without a doubt, one of the best budget CPUs ever offered by either Intel or AMD. Features 6 cores and 12 threads with a base clock speed of 3.2 GHz and a boost clock speed of 3.6. Now, if you just plan on gaming, 4 cores and 8 threads is plenty, but for streaming and video editing, I would much rather have those extra cores and threads. Now, at the time of filming this video, May 12th of 2020, this processor goes for $160, almost double its original MSRP, thanks to the current health situation in the world. So if you truly want 6 cores and 12 threads, you might be better served spending the extra 12 bucks and getting the Ryzen 5 3600. Now, if you're tight on cash, I would also recommend the Ryzen 3 3100 for $99 and the 3300X for $120. They both feature 4 cores and 8 threads, but opposed to the 12nm Zen Plus architecture of the 1600AF, it features the 7nm Zen 2 architecture, trading less cores for faster cores. For our motherboard, we're using the AMD B450M from Gigabyte. Coming in at $85, this board has everything you would want in a motherboard, with the exception of Wi-Fi. It features dual-channel DDR4 memory support, 1 PCI Express 3.0 by 16 slot, 2 USB 3.1 Gen 2 Type A ports, and 6 USB 3.1 Gen 1 ports, 8-channel HD audio, and Gigabyte LAN. I really like this board for the price, but another great option for a few extra bucks is the MSI Tomahawk, or if you're on a tight budget, the ASRock B450M-HDV for $65. But the ASRock board has a much more limited feature set. Moving on to our graphics card, we'll be using the GTX 1660. I just recently did a full video on this card, so if you want to know more about its performance, please click the link above. The 1660 features an 1860 MHz base clock speed with 6 GB of GDDR5 and the NVIDIA H.264 NVENC encoder, perfect for streaming and video rendering. Some other great options are the Gigabyte GTX 1650 Super for $160, and if you have a little bit more to spend, the EVGA RTX 2060 KO is an even better option at $300 even. For memory, we'll be using a 16GB kit of Uskill's Trident Z RGB 3000 MHz memory. Now, this particular kit isn't ideal for this build since it's not optimized for AMD Ryzen processors, but it does clock to 3000 MHz. which is the sweet spot for AMD CPUs. If you want to spend less, I would highly recommend the Corsair Vengeance LPX kit for around $80, or something like the G-Skill Ripjaw's 16GB kit at 3600 MHz for around $72. Now for storage, you're definitely going to want to get an SSD as a boot drive, and honestly, with the exception of the Samsung Evo 860, they all perform pretty much the same. So we picked the Inland Professional 120GB SSD from Micro Center for $21 as our primary boot drive. And for our games and files, we just picked up a 1TB hard drive for $10 on Used Market. Guys, just a quick tip, used hard drives are everywhere these days, so don't spend a whole lot of cash on a brand new one. And finally, for our PSU and case, we went with the Thermaltake Smart 500 watt plate certified for $47 off Amazon. And for our case, we went with the Fantex P300, which costs $50 after mail and rebate. But remember guys, a case is a very personal thing. It's totally subjective in how you want your build to look, so pick what makes you happy and that has good airflow. And finally, we added an orange custom sleeved cable kit for $20 and a set of white LED 120mm up-here fans for good airflow and also to keep our orange and black AMD themed build looking snazzy. Alright guys, with all that out of the way, here's a quick hardware recap. Now let's look at some benchmarks. Okay, so first up we have Cinebench R20, and we'll be comparing the Ryzen 5 1600AF to the Ryzen 7 3800X as a point of reference. The 1600AF scored a 2317 in multi-core and a 357 in the single-core department, while its bigger brother doubled it up, scoring a 4779 in the multi-core score and a 496 in the single-core department. On Unigine Heaven were the 1600AF and the 1660 flexed hard, hitting 130 FPS with a score of 3274. Now oddly enough, the Ryzen 7 3800X scored pretty much the same exact score, meaning the 1600 is pretty much at its limits, creating a GPU bottleneck. On the games, let's start with something easy to play like Fortnite, where we got well over 60 FPS, scoring an average of 95 with a 1% low of 67. Apex Legends, oddly enough, scored higher here, clocking over 100 average FPS, and Apex is one of those games that really performs well when having over 4GB of VRAM. The 1600AF and the 1660 made easy work of this title. Now on to some harder to run games, and first up, the incredibly demanding Metro Exodus. We hit the magical 60 FPS right on the head here with a 1% low of 47. This game played buttery smooth with no issues at all. Next up, Wolfenstein Youngblood, where we ran the in-game benchmark and we got some really high scores at high settings, almost 120 FPS in this title from Bethesda Studios. Finally, another newcomer to the channel, the critically acclaimed Kingdom Come Deliverance, which can be very graphically demanding. We scored an average of 73 FPS with a 1% low of 43, and despite that score, the game actually ran incredibly smooth throughout the entire run. So we know this system can game, but what about streaming? So we hopped on the Twitch and played some Dead by Daylight, and it was nothing but a smooth and solid stream, 60 FPS all day, and we hit that 6,000 kilobyte mark with 0 drop frames. Having 6 cores and 12 threads paired up with an amazing Turing-based architecture and the newest H.264 encoder is really a great combo for all you Twitch heads out there. As far as video editing goes, Adobe Premiere ran like a dream, scrubbing through the timeline, rendering effects, and exporting was a breeze. This really is an awesome combination of hardware for all you current future content creators looking to upgrade without breaking the bank. Alright guys, I really hope you enjoyed today's guide to building the ultimate entry-level gaming / streaming / video editing PC. And here are a couple final thoughts I really want to share with you guys. First off, I really wanted to keep today's build at $600, but a few things happened. And first off, I originally purchased the Ryzen 5 1600AF. I got it for MSRP about a week or two after it came out for 85 bucks. That chip is now, for some reason, at $150, which is almost double the original MSRP. If you guys are okay with spending that kind of money, just spend a couple extra bucks and get the Ryzen 5 3600. And the reason is because it has the same amount of cores and threads, but it has a faster, better architecture. It actually uses Zen 2, so it has 6 cores and 12 threads, but they're 7 nanometer instead of the 12 nanometer Zen Plus architecture. Now if you guys are on a tighter budget, Ryzen did just release the Ryzen 3 3100 for $99 and the Ryzen 3 3300X for $120. The only compromise with those chips is they're 4 cores and 8 threads, very similar to the Intel i7 7700K, but the advantage they have over the Ryzen 5 1600AF is the same advantage the Ryzen 5 3600 has over the Ryzen 5 1600AF. They're using the 7 nanometer Zen 2 architecture opposed to the Zen Plus 12 nanometer architecture that the Ryzen 1600AF, and basically all that means is you're going to have fewer cores, but they're going to be faster cores. So in terms of gaming, you're actually going to get higher FPS with those chips, but in terms of streaming and video editing, I personally would rather have more cores and threads, more horsepower for those really heavy workloads. So another reason why this build was a little bit more expensive than I originally intended was because I ordered an RX 580 8GB used off eBay for around 140 bucks, but unfortunately it was dead on arrival and I had to send it back. So I used my new GTX 1660, which was $250. Card still goes for that amount, and it's still a fantastic card for gaming, streaming, and video editing. It does have that H.264 NVENC encoder, but if you guys are trying to stay within a budget, I would also recommend the GTX 1650 Super, which you can find for around $170. It's not quite as powerful as the 1660, but it does have that NVENC H.264 encoder, which is just fantastic for streaming and video rendering. And also guys, Intel does plan on releasing the brand new Comet Lake series, so basically i3s are now going to be i7s, i5s are now going to be i7s, and i7s are now going to be i9. And even though Intel is using the 14 nanometer plus whatever architecture again, as long as those chips are relatively affordable and comparable to what AMD is putting out, I think for gaming you're still going to get good value. And the reason is because Intel, for one, has great resale value. They maintain their value way better than AMD does, and also when it comes to gaming, Intel is still the best. Now AMD is right on their heels, but AMD has always been so much more affordable and better priced to performance than Intel, but in the end, Intel is still number one in terms of gaming. Alright guys, so I really hope you liked today's video. That's all the time I have. I want to give a special thanks to my boy Bill Eric for sponsoring today's video. Be sure to go visit his website at eteamrestore.com. They do fantastic work. And also guys, remember to subscribe to the channel. I put videos out about once a week on everything budget PC tech, and you can follow me on Instagram at tech_215. So be sure on your way out to give this video a thumbs up, and remember, I read every question and comment, so if you have any questions, please leave them down in the comment section below. But that's all the time I have for today guys. Thanks again so much. I should be back in about a week with more tech content. Peace!